All right, hey everyone, and good Tuesday evening. It's time for our daily deep dive into the weather for Eastern Ohio, Western PA. We call it Weather for Weather Geeks. Today, as promised, turned out to be a lot nicer. Dew points dropped, was not as hot. We had a great afternoon with sunshine and some fair weather clouds. Let's start out with this evening's numbers. This will go into the record books as a warmer than average day, but hey, this is better than lower 90s, 83 the high today after a muggy start this morning at 68. Now, we did have a couple of pre-dawn showers that pushed through parts of our area, especially from about 224 on north, picked up 0.17 since midnight last night at the Youngstown Warren Airport, bringing our two-day total to about 1.75 inches in the heart of our viewing area. Some places had more than 2 inches worth of rain with yesterday's thunderstorms, especially over in Mercer County. All right, so dew points dropped really nicely as expected today. It stayed muggy through about late morning, and then the dew points dropped into the 50s and lower 60s, making it feel much nicer. The clouds that we had this morning parted, and some of those Bob Ross cumulus clouds out there this afternoon. You could tell the humidity had lowered just by looking at the sky. The sky was bluer today. It was just more pristine looking, a sign of a drier air mass. All right, I wanted to recap where we've been over the last few months as far as rain compared to average. Now, in the late spring and summer, as you know, rainfall amounts can be pretty variable depending on where thunderstorms decide to set up. At the airport here in July, we've had over 5 inches worth of rain. And in the Route 30 corridor in Columbiana County, a lot of backyards have probably had under 2 inches of rain so far in July. But for the last 90 days, this is how we look. Trumbull County, our wettest county, when we go back through the last 90 days. Parts of western Mercer County close to average, maybe a little above average. Same thing down towards Youngstown and Canfield and Austintown. But once you get down towards Lisbon, Hanoverton, New Garden, the Guilford Lake area, heading over towards East Palestine, that's a corridor that has been pretty dry. Rogers included in that. And, some of these rainfall deficits, radar estimated rainfall deficits over the last 90 days, are probably on the order of, in a few spots, 4 to 5 inches. It's pretty dry in a lot of yards in Columbiana County. All right, not a lot of crazy weather to speak of nationwide this evening. Some routine thunderstorms, summertime thunderstorms in parts of the southern U.S. and out across the Rocky Mountain states. That's about it. Let's head down to the tropics, where you're going to hear a lot about this system in the coming days. This is a system that's having a hard time getting its act together as of this recording, but this will eventually become a system that will be pronounced in many different ways by a lot of television weather presenters in the coming days. The correct pronunciation, let me see if I get this right. Isaias, I believe. That is the correct pronunciation. This is something that is not named as of yet, but I've put it on the banner up at the top because this will get a name either tonight or tomorrow morning. Just wanted to get ahead of the curve here. The low-level circulation is very disorganized, and it's moving very quickly. This is trucking to the west-northwest at 23. But eventually this probably will get its act together, and then the question is, where does it go? And right now, this is the National Hurricane Center cone. Now, you got to take this with an enormous grain of salt. No one should be looking at this cone and saying it's going to Florida. The circulation may be farther south than a lot of the models are showing. If that is the case, and if this thing gets its act together farther south than it is right now, this could very well end up in the Gulf. Some scenarios would have it recurve. Right now, this is the cone, but this is a very low confidence forecast cone coming out of the National Hurricane Center right now. So if this were to track exactly as the cone suggests right now, which isn't likely, but just for the sake of argument, let's say it does, it would then impact parts of the southeastern U.S. During the upcoming weekend into early next week. But everything's on the table with this. No one should look at this and say, oh my gosh, this is going to Florida, because this could very well get torn apart in some of the mountainous areas in the Caribbean. It may end up in the Gulf. It may recurve out in the Atlantic. I'd say all those scenarios are almost equally likely right now. All right, that's the tropics. Back here at home, we have a weak front approaching tomorrow, and I've trimmed back our rain chances tomorrow afternoon. I think it's a real small chance here locally. Maybe somewhat higher up towards I-90, up towards Ashtabula and Erie. But around here, boy, it's a 20% or less chance of a passing shower or storm tomorrow afternoon. Now, this front kind of washes out, but with a boundary nearby on Thursday, I have another low-end chance of a shower or a thunderstorm in the forecast for Thursday, and then the boundary will be a non-entity on the weather map by Friday. We'll call it a mix of sun and clouds on Friday with the moisture staying off to our south. All right, the lower dew point air is here to stay for several days, even though tomorrow is going to be pretty warm. We'll get into the upper 80s tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be that muggy, and we'll never see 70-degree dew points returning in the foreseeable future. That is a good thing, in my opinion, but it may turn a little bit muggy coming our way at the second half of the weekend and early next week. Now, the next 10 days will feature no abnormal cool weather for the end of July and August, but we're going to have a handful of days pretty close to the average, which is 81. We'll have some days that are somewhat above average, and one day, that's tomorrow, in which it'll be several degrees warmer than average. But overall, this is not a pattern that favors much high heat, taking us through the first week or so of August. So I don't see a return of sustained heat when we talk about, abnormal heat in early August. It's early August, it's supposed to be pretty warm. I don't see a heat wave, sustained 90s, crazy high dew points. I don't see that sort of stuff coming back anytime real soon. All right, that'll do it for me tonight. Thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. I will see you back here on Wednesday.